pink garment, article of clothing.
And item 59, what was BCI item 59?
It was a card in the name of Stacy Hicks that was found underneath the bed, and I logged it in as an Ohio direction card in the name of Stacy Hicks.
And as we look at this photograph, State's Exhibit 168, is that how it was found by you when we lifted up the
Yes.
mattress?
Yes, it is.
Is that photograph, State's Exhibit 168, a fair and accurate depiction of what is important to this?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 169, is that just a assumed in view?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Same question, is that a fair and accurate depiction?
Yes.
Exhibit 170. Was that please?
It's still placard 59. Now it just identifies the front of the card, and it shows the name of Stacy Hicks, the Ohio direction card.
So that was the card that you found underneath the bed on the first floor of 363 Covert Court?
Yes, sir.
Showing defense counsel, State's Exhibit 171. Go ahead. Staley, what is State's Exhibit 171?
It would be my evidence number 59, the Ohio direction card, the name of Stacy Hicks, collected by me on the 13th.
Okay, would you open that, please? So Agent Staley, that item in your hand is the same item photographed in the State's Exhibit 170, Stacy Hicks' Ohio direction card.
Yes.
Is that substantially the same condition when we found it?
Yes, it is.
So you took that evidence, to whom did you provide it?
To the Ashland Police Department, Brian Evans, Detective Brian Evans.
What date?
The 14th of September.
Same as all the rest of the items?
Yes, sir.
Reading the State's Exhibit 172. I think I asked you, 170 fair and accurate depiction?
Yes, it is.
172, what's that?
We're in the same room that's adjacent to the kitchen, and we turned now almost 180 degrees. There was a closet door. This wall that we're looking at, on the other side of that wall would be the kitchen that we'd previously seen. There was a door in that corner, and there was a closet behind that door in that same room.
So as we're oriented in this photo, Agent Staley, kind of off to the right, is that where that television was?
Yes, sir.
And then maybe back to the left, in that general area is where the bed was?
Yes, sir.
Okay. On that side table, as we zoom in, there appears to be some peanut butter and jelly. To the right of that, Agent Staley, what was located on that table?
The pink and green, or is that what you're referring to on the placard?
Directly to the right of the peanut butter and jelly, in between the two weights.
Looks like two razors.
scroll further to the right, in this area, what items did you locate?
Items of makeup.
Now, that's not the first items of makeup that you located in the search, is that correct? There was lipstick and something else on the nightstand?
Yes, that's correct, yes.
We've got some more photos coming up, Agent Staley, but from this vantage point, there are evidence markers 62 and 65. What was 62?
62 was on the floor in that closet, and I believe it's another one of the suspected sexual devices.
65?
65 is a cloth restraint that was attached to the chair.
It states Exhibit 162, a fair and accurate depiction of what's in that photograph.
I'm sorry.
172, I'm sorry.
Yes, 172. Thank you.
And 173. Was that just a zoomed in shot of that table we just talked about?
Yes, it is.
Okay, the razors and the items of makeup?
Yes.
Is that photograph a fair and accurate depiction of what it's purporting to depict?
Yes, it is.
States Exhibit 174.
174 is a close-up view inside that closet that we saw earlier. 62 would be the suspected sexual device that I referred to previously, and 65 is that bluish-colored towel that's affixed to the chair in the closet.
Now, Agent Staley, this suspected sexual device, was a condom on it, or condoms?
I believe so.
That's what it appeared to be?
I believe so.
And is that consistent with these other items that you have so far referred to as suspected sexual
Similar
devices?
nature, yes.
And then item 65, now we've got a little bit better view of that towel or piece of cloth that's attached to the chair there. Agent Staley, is that, or does it appear to be consistent with how the other bindings were attached to the mattress on the first floor, to the bed frame on the second floor?
Yes, sir, it's consistent with
Is that photograph, States Exhibit 174, fair and accurate depiction of what it is purporting to depict?
that. Yes, sir.
And you, States Exhibit 175.
175 is a photograph, the same closet. Now we're going up, there was a shelf in the upper portion of that closet. There was another suspected sexual device on that shelf. And I placed placard number 63 on there for documentation purposes.
In States Exhibit 175, a fair and accurate depiction of what it's purporting to depict.
Yes, it is.
Now, all of these items that we refer to as suspected sexual devices, you collected all of those, is that correct?
I did, yes.
And they were all provided to the police department?
Yes, sir, they were.
Okay. And just like all the items that you collected, were they all given to detective evidence?
I believe so, yes.
A fair and accurate depiction?
Yes, sir.
176.
176 is the same photograph taken from a little bit higher vantage point. It's on the shelf in that closet.
Did it appear as if this suspected sexual device was wrapped in condom like the other ones that you see? Or could you tell?
Yeah, I don't really remember.
Can you see on the zoomed in shot behind you or on that screen to the right?
It appears as though it is.
176 fair and accurate?
Yes, sir.
177?
177 is a photograph where I had placed placard number 70 in the photograph.
And if you refer to Stacy to 120, what would PCI item 70?
That's a makeup.
Okay. And is that referring to that bottle to the left of the placard there?
Yeah, the vertical bottle, right. The 177 is a photograph where I had placed placard number 70 in the photograph.
And if you refer to Stacy to 120, what would PCI item 70?
That's a makeup.
Okay. And is that referring to that bottle to the left of the placard there?
Yeah, the vertical bottle, right, just to the immediate left of placard 70.
Okay. Is that photograph a fair and accurate depiction of what's points?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Is it 178? What is that?
178, I placed placard number 71. There was a yellow legal pad found in that bedroom adjacent to the kitchen. And that was collected as evidence. I put placard number 71.
Did you photograph it as it was found there?
Yes, I believe I did.
That would have been found then next to these weights.
Yes.
As we zoom in, Agent Staley, there's some writing on yellow notepad, is that correct?
Yes.
Numbers, descriptions, and then prices. Prices all the way on the left, is that right?
I believe so.
Then to the right of that column, a number, and then to
Yes.
the right of that, a description.
Yes,
Did you collect that index?
I believe so.
Showing Defense Counsel 179. Agent Staley, I'm handing you Stacy ticket 179. What is that, please?
Be my evidence 71, yellow notebook. That was collected by me.
You open it up, please. Agent Staley, is that the same yellow notebook that you took a photograph of in
Yes.
State's Exhibit 178?
Yes, it is.
You took that into custody?
Yes,
Who did you provide it to?
I believe Detective Evans.
Is that substantially in the same condition as when you collected it?
Yes.
This was BCI item
71.
71. So that's with the group of things you provided that to me?
Detective Brian Evans.
From the defense counsel, since it's in the 209. Agent Staley, in exhibit 116, you identified a photograph of a film phone that was found in the basement underneath the stairs. You call that?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to hand you State's exhibit 209. That's appears to be BCI item 72, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
It's a billfold.
Is that the same billfold we had referred to earlier?
Yes.
Okay. And who collected that?
I did on September 13th.
Can you open it up and take a look? So Agent Staley, Stacy's in the 209, which you collected, was BCI item 72. Is that the same as the photo in 116, same item?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you open it up, please? There are photographs in there, is that correct?
Yes.
Consistent with Stacy's at 117, is that correct? If you want to refer to the...
Yes.
Did you provide that to anyone?
To the Ashland Police Department, Detective Brian Evans.
And was that on the same day as all the rest of this stuff?
Yes, sir, it was.
Thank you. So Agent Staley, you described to us how you assisted in the execution of the search warrant at 363 Colbert Court and the collection of some pieces of evidence. Was that the only thing that you did to assist the Ashland Police Division in this case?
No, there were a couple other details that they asked me to participate in and take care of for them.
Okay. On September 21st, 2016, did you have the occasion to respond to a location in the city of Ashland?
Yes, I did.
What was the, why did you do that? What did you do?
We were, the police department was looking for some other items of evidence that was in, I believe, one of the victims' apartments here in Ashland.
And did you know the name of that person, or did you just know an address?
I believe it was Elizabeth's address.
Are you sure about that, or do you want to refer to your report?
I don't remember, I just I think that's what we went, but
Is that information in your report?
it probably is.
Okay. Well, referring to that helps.
The address would be.
Okay. Let's focus on, you recall what the address is as you sit here and testify?
I don't remember what the address was.
We're referring to your report, have to refresh your
Sure.
recollection.
Absolutely.
Do you have a copy there? Would you like me to show you one?
The apartment on Matthews Avenue, 236 Matthews Avenue.
And what apartment number?
I have it recorded as, I believe, I.
So fair to say, Agent Staley, that you aren't per se the main investigator in this case. You are providing an assist to local law enforcement to process these scenes.
That's correct, yes.
To provide more help with that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. For purposes of record, the judge will show defense counsel photographs. They are State's Exhibits 181 through 190. And then 192 through 195. And I'm also showing 197. Agent Staley, what did you use to assist in the execution of the search warrant at that address that you just told
I
us?
went with the Ashland Police Department and I took some photographs and collected some items of evidence in the apartment.
Okay. And photographs taken as well?
Yes.
Judge, with the court's permission, with this next series of photos, by the public limits to go through the reviews.
Any objection, Mr. Whitley?
Oh, good.
Thank you. You may.
The sheriff's remarks, Agent Staley, for identification process as State's Exhibit 181. And 178 was a fair and accurate depiction.
Yes, it was. 181 is a photograph from the outside of the apartment complex where that apartment was located.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of the exterior of that apartment?
It is.
State's Exhibit 182.
Upon entering the apartment complex, we made our way to apartment number I, or apartment letter I, and I photographed the exterior door.
Okay, and as we zoom in a little bit, at the top of the door there, is there a handwritten message of some kind?
Yes, it is.
Can you read out where that's from?
Those who look to the Lord are radiant. Their lives, their faces, never covered with shame.
In Psalm 34.
God moves
Part of I. And Agent Staley, it appears that there's another quote from the Bible there, Ephesians.
Yes.
And then one from John, down at the bottom, is that right?
Correct.
States Exhibit 182, is that a fair and accurate depiction of what it's purported to represent?
Yes.
States Exhibit 183.
It's the same door, the door frame and the door, there's a seal across that door.
It appears as if there's someone's initials and a date.
Yes.
Are those your initials or someone else's?
They're not my initials.
Okay. Do you know whose initials they are?
E-R-E. Would suspect Brian Evans.
Is 183 a fair and accurate depiction of what's pointed to the video?
Yes, it is.
That seal was intact when you executed the search warrant on September 21st, is that right?
Yes, it was.
States Exhibit 184.
Opening that door that we previously saw. Just a photograph overall inside that apartment as to how it was found.
Did it appear, Agent Staley, that the apartment was kept in good order?
It appeared as though, yes.
Is 184 a fair and accurate depiction of what's purported to represent?
Yes, it is.
States Exhibit 185.
Same photograph, just moved in and a little bit more close up. Just documenting what's inside the apartment.
So as you enter the apartment, on your left there was a couch, and then towards the right there was some other stuff we've seen there. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
185, a fair and accurate depiction of what is purported to depict.
Yes, sir.
186.
186 is the same photograph, same area inside the apartment. We've just panned slightly now to the right, trying to capture more items in that room.
So Agent Staley, would the door then have been just to the right of where you were when you took this photograph?
The door would have been kind of to the right and maybe a little behind.
Okay. As we look, zoom in just a little bit there, Agent Staley. Is that a tennis racket? Was it appear to be a tennis racket?
I believe it is a tennis racket.
And if we zoom way in, there's a green item on that bookshelf back there. We're going to see some pictures later.
Yes, sir.
Was that of interest to you and officers from the National Police Division?
Yes, it was an item of interest to the police department, yes.
States Exhibit 186, is that a fair and accurate depiction of what's purporting to depict?
Yes, sir.
187.
Same room in the apartment. We walked into the room and now turning back, looking more toward, on the left side of the photograph, you can see the door that we entered in and the sofa that's been in previous photographs.
187, a fair and accurate depiction of what's reporting to this.
Yes, sir.
$188.
188 is a continuation of documenting the rooms within that apartment.
Appears to be a bedroom, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You see some more of the handwritten posters on the wall.
Yes.
Okay, is that a fair and accurate depiction of what's reporting to the agency?
Yes, it is.
State's Exhibit 189.
We're back out into the main room. Looking at a shelf unit. The police department had received information about looking for a green wallet. And on the shelf, the bottom, or the middle shelf, to the right on the shelf, or to the left of that shelf, you can see that green object that they were looking for.
And again, Agent Staley, you're not the guy who can come in here and tell the jury why you were looking for that, but you assisted in locating it and taking it to that.
Correct, yes.
Is 189 a fair and accurate depiction of what's reporting to the
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 190.
190 is the same photograph as before, just close up, documenting that green object that they were looking for.
Your defense counsel, State's Exhibit 191. Okay. Staley, what is that?
The green wallet from the shelf, 236 Matthews Avenue.
Who collected that?
That is my initials with September 21st on it.
Okay. Can you take a look, please? Thank you, Agent Staley. That's the same green wallet in State's Exhibit 191 that's in the photographs we've been talking about.
It's in State's Exhibit 190 there. That I have.
Photograph.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to hand you some more for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 197. The top page, you might not recognize. Check the second page, though.
The second page is a handwritten form that BCI uses from time to time for the same purpose as the electronic version that's generated through our iPad. This is just a handwritten form, the same type of documentation.
And does that record your collection of this green wallet?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Who did you provide that to?
Detective Brian Evans
And on what date?
on September 21st.
Same day you collected it.
Yes.
And Agent Staley, on State's Exhibit 197, the first page, this is your police log, but does it appear to be actual police log?
Yes, it says Action Police Department at the top of it, yes.
Okay. But this second page that you have indicated, is that your signature at the bottom there?
It is, twice.
And is this a true and accurate copy of the evidence log from the search warrant at 236 Matthews Avenue, Apartment I?
Yes, sir.
And is this kept in the ordinary course of business of DCI?
Yes, it is.
In addition to getting the wall that you stated, were you looking for anything else in the apartment?
I believe the police department was looking for a box that contained some items that had been described to them.
Okay. Anything was been marked as Stacy did with 192, and 190 is a fair and accurate depiction?
Yes, it is.
192,
192, we're back towards the entry door where the sofa, off to the right in this photograph, you can see where the sofa has been lifted off, turned over to the floor, exposing the items that would have been underneath the sofa.
a fair amount of stuff there. Is that fair to say, Agent Staley?
Yes, sir.
Including an empty jar of some kind, maybe a candle, as we zoom in there.
Yes.
As well as some bags.
Yes.
Garbage bag.
Yes.
Some telephone books.
Yes, sir.
Is 192 a fair and accurate depiction of the areas reported to the victim?
Yes, it is.
Kind of a different way of keeping things under there than from the rest of the apartment. Is that fair, Agent Staley?
Not my way of doing it, but yes.
I mean, did the rest of the apartment appear to be orderly and put together?
It was.
193.
Same area, just a different view. Just trying to document things that were found underneath the sofa.
And is 193 a fair and accurate representation of what it's purporting to represent?
Yes, sir.
Was that black box in the middle of the photo of any interest to you?
That was a box that was similar to the description provided to the police department.
Okay, so 193 a fair and accurate representation.
Yes, it is.
194. Is that a box again?
Yes, it's the same box, just now it's a different view of it.
And is 194 a fair and accurate depiction of what it's reporting to the victim?
Yes, sir.
Was the box searched?
The box lid was opened up and I photographed the interior to document the items that were inside the box.
Is that State's Exhibit 195?
Yes, it is.
Jewelry and some amethyst or colored rocks. Is that what we're looking at?
I'll agree with the jewelry, yes.
Did you take that into evidence?
Yes, I did.
The defense counsel State's Exhibit 196. What is that?
Box from under the sofa, 236 Masters Avenue, Apartment I. Collected by myself, September 21st.
Okay. What's inside? Did you open it up? So Agent Staley, you just showed us the black box and you opened it up. Are those contents the same as in State's Exhibit 195?
Appears to be the same, yes.
Thank you. So you took that into evidence, is that right?
Yes, I did.
Who did you provide it to?
Police Department, Brian Evans.
Like Greenwald, was that the same day, September 1st, 2016?
Yes, it was.
Is this black box and the green wallet, which you testified about, in a substantially similar condition to when you collected it?
I believe it was.
Agent Staley, was the assist in executing the search warrant on Matthews Avenue, 363 Matthews Avenue, apartment I, was that the last part of this case for you?
236.
Excuse me, 236, thank you. Apartment I, right?
Yes.
All right. Was that the last thing you did in this case?
I believe there was another detail that I was involved in.
What was that?
The operation of the key and lock.
Okay. And like other parts of your work in this case, did you know all the details about where a thing came from or who got it or things like that when we're talking about this lock and key?
No.
Okay. You were just asked to examine these things and see if that lock and key would work together.
Correct.
All right. So defense counsel, State's Exhibit 198 and 200. As well as the 199 and 201. Agent Staley, starting first with item 198. Do you see the descriptor of what that is, and do you see any markings by yourself on that package?
It's a quick set key. It looks like it was obtained by the Ashland Police Department, and my initials are on an opening of this bag. April 5th of 18 and October 26th of 16.
I'm going to show you this with mark for identification purposes. That State's Exhibit 199. Is that an evidence log, or does it appear to be?
Yes.
Do you see your signature or your name anywhere on there?
Yes.
Where?
On the 5th line down and the 6th line down.
And what does that indicate to you?
That I had taken custody for a short period of time over this item.
Okay. And that's the key to testing has come up, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, I'm going to show you Exhibit 200. What is that, please?
Quick set lock appears to be obtained by the Ashland Police Department. Again, with my initials, date of 10/21, and again, 4/5/18.
And State's Exhibit 201, another evidence log for the lock. Is your name or signature here on there?
Yes, it is.
What does that indicate that you did?
Again, that it was put in my custody for a short period of time.
Okay. In order to perform this examination that you did, is that right?
Yes.
Would you please open up those two items. So as you said, you've got the key, and you've got the lockout. Would you open the box from the lock and see if that key works with that lock, please?
It does.
Thank you, sir. And so that's in substantially the same condition as when you did that test back in October 2016?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Put those back, please. Thank you, sir. And it states it's in 195, fair and accurate picture?
Yes, it is.
For the record, I'm showing defense counsel states it's in 202. You just said that you indicated on those past two exhibits, we looked at the lock and the key. You took those into your custody for a period of time to do testing, and this will be created for us here in court. Who did you give it back to?
To the Ashland Police Department. Looks like Sergeant Alton's signature.
Okay. So you filled out your part, but the person gave it to you filled out. Is that
Yes.
right? That was 201 and 199 we were just looking at?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I'm handing you State's Exhibit 202. What is that?
It appears as though it's an evidence log from the Ashland Police Department.
That's the first page. On the second page,
Would be a handwritten evidence transfer from BCI from myself to, looks like Brian Evans, Detective Evans, on 9/21 for a thumb drive containing Pharaoh scans.
what PCI item was that?
I don't know who there was.
Okay. I'm going to hand you State's Exhibit 8 and ask you if that's the thumb drive that you provided to
I believe it is.
Detective Evans.
I believe so.
Okay. And the Second page, it states 202 is handwritten, evidence log. Is that a true accurate copy of that?
It is, yes.
Is that kept in the ordinary course of business?
Yes, it is.
Referring back to State Exhibit 202, the photographic Pharaoh scans, you indicated that as item 1, is that right?
On that day, yes, I remember.
Okay. And it was logged on the other sheet as 84. That appears to be the case.
On their document, it's 84, yes.
Thank you, Judge. I think further.
Cross-examine.
Thank you, Judge.
Good afternoon, Agent Staley.
Mr. Whitney?
Sir, I know that we've heard you're employed by the Bureau of Criminal Investigation, State of Ohio. Do you have an assignment office or headquarters that you operate out of, sir?
Out of Richfield?
Okay. And do you report to Richfield office each day, or do they contact you and tell you to go here, or you're needed here or there?
I also have a satellite office out of my house.
Here in Ashland?
Yes, and then my truck is also considered part of my office as well.
And back on September the 13th of 2016, I understand that you arrived at the Covert Street address that's been discussed here at 9:28 a.m.
Sounds close.
Okay. Was you're acquainted with Agent Hootman from BCI?
Yes, I am.
And does he work out of your office or another locale?
No, he works out of the Youngstown office.
Okay. And was he at this Covert Street address when you arrived there that morning, September 16th?
No, I would have been there first.
All right. And he came there once you were already there when Agent Goodman arrived?
Yes, I believe so.
Do you recall, did he leave the Covert Street address for a period of time and then come back and do some more work, or were you able to keep track of that? Or maybe you didn't keep track of it?
I was there for an extended period of time. I couldn't tell you if he left and then came back or not.
All right. The photographs, several of which you've identified here in your testimony, were you directed to take those photographs by anyone, or you do your own investigation free of anybody else's input?
It sometimes can be under the direction of a police department if there's something in specific that needs to be collected or they want to address.
Okay. And September the 13th, was that the case, or were you working as your own as a crime scene investigator?
It's a combination of both.
All right. The photographs that you take, sir, are those time-stamped photographs? In other words, do they have a date and a time that they're taken, or is the picture snapped?
Yeah, I believe in the metadata they can't have that yet.
The negative would have,
The metadata,
what's the,
the information that's specific to the photograph itself.
okay. That would not show up on any of these exhibits?
No.
Do you log the time and date these photographs that you take, sir?
No, I do not log them. No.
Who would have the information on that, or where would that be obtained?
I believe they're contained on the DVD that went to the police department with the photographs.
Okay. Do you log on, I think it was State's Exhibit number 120, the BCI APD log? Do you log on there when different items are found? Time?
Not necessarily. Sometimes it can be a photograph, a session of photographs can be taken of that might give the time that it was collected, or approximately that time. And then what goes into the software is significant to the collection of that information of that particular item.
Would you have an idea when the first corpse was discovered by you? That's new time.
Probably under photographs.
Okay. And would the same be true of the second corpse?
Probably under photographs.
Had you received any information prior to doing the process of opening the closets and so forth? Have you received any information from any law enforcement agency that there could be, might be bodies in the house, deceased persons?
There was, I believe the police department responded to the house. I couldn't tell you whether they searched the house or not. I went to the police department early in that morning and got some partial information from the police department regarding some missing people.
But during the time you were there searching, did you receive any information, phone calls, radio traffic, anything of that nature that advised you that there were bodies in the house and in closets in the house?
I do not believe so.
You testified that, sir, that you had some training in, I think it's called entomology, I call it the study of bugs, insects.
Yes, sir.
You testified about fly infestation being present at the area where these bodies were discovered, you recall that?
Yes.
Based upon your training, your experience on the job and so forth, can you give an estimate of the time that fly infestation started and was up to the stage of what you observed when the closet door was opened or
No.
or-
No.
Is there any way of telling that, if you know?
There probably can be, in advanced studies under that science, there probably can be, yes.
Okay. But you're not able to give an estimate of how much time it would take for the first stage up to the stage that you observed?
No, I'm not going to give an estimation of time.
All right, can't do that.
No.
All right. There were items discovered during your work pursuant to the search warrant going through the house that you described, or the prosecutors described, as sex toys that you observed in this Covert Street house.
Suspected sexual devices.
Okay. There were small ones, and then there were larger ones that were somehow or other attached to, it looked like maybe a doll of some kind that had been broken into.
I'll agree with you, yes.
Okay. Did you have anything to do with those sex devices or suspected sex devices, whether the ones consisting of a long pole or a larger doll? Two of those and some smaller ones. Were any of those ever sent to BCI or any other law enforcement agency for DNA testing? Do you know?
I believe the one that I testified to and opened the box on, I believe that one was sent to BCI for testing.
All right. Were those items turned over to the Ashland Police Department by you?
Yes, they were.
All right. All of them? Small ones?
Everything that I collected from any of these scenes was turned over to the Ashland Police Department.
And talking about DNA and testing and so forth, do you know or have any knowledge as to whether the items of clothing or at least cloth or material any of those items were ever submitted to BCI for DNA testing or any other law enforcement agency for testing?
The articles of clothing?
The articles of clothing which have been referred to as ligatures and restraints tied to the bed frames, mattresses, and so forth.
I don't know whether they were submitted or not.
You testified that during the search of the Covert Street address, that at some place in one of the rooms, I believe in some type of a basket, you found some, I think you described as love roses, plastic love roses,
Some kind of roses, yeah, in glass.
or glass or plastic.
They were in glass tubes, yeah.
All right. They were in glass tubes.
I believe so. They were individually packaged in glass tubes.
Were any of those tubes opened up?
Not
To
that
your
I'm
knowledge? All right. You had the opportunity to observe these plastic or glass roses, did you not?
Yes, sir.
All right. Would you be able to identify those from what you saw at the scene by looking at another photograph?
Are you asking me to do a comparison?
No, just, you could see, identify them, or it looks similar, I'll put it that way. State's Exhibit 43, which was a photograph taken by you, Agent Staley, I believe that depicts where these glass or plastic roses were found.
Yes, sir.
Is it are they in a basket there?
Yes.
Okay. And the State's Exhibit 12, which has been identified by another officer, and ask you if these love roses that are described are similar to what you found in the Covert Street home.
Well, they're packaged differently. So if they were actually similar, these are in boxes, these are not.
Okay. They look similar from the diagram on the picture of the boxes?
It's kind of hard to tell.
Okay. But you described them as what when you found them?
They look like roses inside two glass tubes.
Okay. Were they red in color, white in color, or were they any color at all?
I don't remember.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. You're right.
Thank you, Judge. Agent Staley, you didn't collect any of the glass roses as you refer to them, is that correct?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. And based on the photos that Mr. Whitney showed you, you couldn't see inside the individual boxes to see what was inside, is that fair?
That's correct, yes.
Nothing further.
Thank you. Thank you, especially in staying here and seeing this judge.
Try about an hour and 15 minutes. We can break between witnesses or you want to give.
Thank you.
Now, we need to move
Okay, then we're going to take about a 10 or 15 minute recess. It's 2:44 in the court of response. Again, ladies and gentlemen, don't discuss this with anybody or anybody. You inform any opinion or solution.
make it go through they let us go around. Usually once we're in, they do these gallery.
Across street smoke.
Sometimes they'll even let us go Brian, we might as well stay in here. Stand up a minute.
Yeah, I hope he is.
Breakfast? About 3 weeks ago, still never where it went, but now he's like, you know, mean, I'm not saying that it can't happen.
If he's still at that main place.
The other day they went down that hot dog stand where we played. And if you know anything about Sandusky, hot dog place is there on that bar street next to the where water is, where roads are. That's what he said. I dropped him that low. I had to park there up. The north part of the south part of the parking lot was like a block away. He walked that way. And I'm like, really? That's the way he does it.
I don't either. There's something.
He does.
No, you can't. You take downstairs towel. No, it was outside. It was outside. No, they can't search the fingers. Towel will get on line for you though, Jeff. Good seeing you, buddy.
Bye.
Part of that lock you can there, so we will unlock it for you. Before we moved it, we owned some property, farm property down below us, and so several times. No, he's actually looking better. Oh, yeah.
I don't know where offhand I may have.
Anyway,
Just depends.
all right, we gotta go ahead and start bringing back in, Kim.
When I bought that big old white thing, looked like man moving to the north or something, but I don't care. I sit on it. When I go to stand up, I won't be able to hardly stand up straight. When everybody's home. Come on, why wasn't I there like
That wasn't me this time.
Thursday, don't have an appointment. Has to go through that Robert
No, it's you.
Is how much you doing? I'm gonna ask you. Is it bad?
I
alternate one side, okay, now stand this side. She does too, right? I wish I had that.
God, I don't know how you're sitting through it. When you think about it, your back years to run.
Give you any trouble now? As a good nurse. Okay,
Yes.
I felt like it. I think he's very rude. Double bills and everything. Make it rain. Now, it was inside, it's the questioning.
All rise.
May be seated. Now 2:59, section 3, just straight through the clock on the courtroom clock. That case 16-0187, State of Ohio, plaintiff, Grate defendant, all 12 jurors, 5 alternates who returned to court, and defendant present counsel as our counsel for the State of Ohio. Mr. Tanel, state's next witness.
Tina Schwartz, Your Honor.
So swear to affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, in this hearing here today, so,
Yes, I do.
please have a seat.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Hi,
What's your name?
Tina Swartz.
And how are you employed, Ms. Schwartz?
I'm a therapist at Appleseed Community Mental Health, and I'm an elected official with the Village of Crestline.
Okay. What is Appleseed Community Mental Health?
It's the local community mental health agency for Ashland, Ohio. We service people with various needs, specifically mental illness. Some people just need simple services like housing, case management.
Okay. And some people need even more, intensified services?
Yes,
And does your agency have the ability to do that as well?
yes, we do.
And how long have you been employed there?
About 4 years.
And what sort of education and training do you have in order to hold your position?
I have a master's in social work, and then I have a license in social work.
And what sort of counseling services do you provide?
Currently, what do I provide?
Yes, ma'am.
Crisis management, individual counseling, referrals to other agencies based on the needs of the individual, de-escalation, intensive alcohol and drug counseling as well.
And are you the only one providing these services in Appleseed?
No.
How many employees, are similarly employed?
I would say approximately 65.
Okay. And what kind of caseload do you carry?
I carry anywhere from, I don't think I've ever been under 70, so I would say 70 to 85, 95.
And is it the same for all 65 employees?
Sometimes not, no.
Sometimes less?
I tend to just not turn anybody away. I'm like, the service needs to be done, so just give it to me. I don't argue about it.
And you said you've been in Appleseed for 4 years. Is that the sum total of your career as a counselor?
No.
Where were you before Appleseed?
I managed mental health for the Ohio Department of Corrections at North Central Correctional in Marion, Ohio. And then prior to that, I did a year of crisis management at the center over in Mansfield. And then prior to that, I did almost 10 years as an intake investigator with Morrow County Children's Services.
Now, did you know a woman by the name of Elizabeth Griffin?
Yes.
And how were you so familiar with Elizabeth?
She was my mental health client. She was on my caseload.
Okay. And up until, say, mid-August of 2016, how long had you known Elizabeth?
Probably about a year and a half, maybe 2 years.
And when she came onto your caseload, was she new to the area, or was she switching over from a different counselor?
She was transferred, I believe, because she'd been hospitalized. And upon her release from hospitalization, they issued her as a client to me.
And what sort of services were you providing to Elizabeth?
Individual counseling, crisis de-escalation, kind of monitoring along with the case manager that she was getting in touch with her payee, making sure that she had some money for like her laundry, making sure she had food available in the home, trying to ensure that she was taking her medications as prescribed, just kind of overseeing her day-to-day needs.
Now, you mentioned a couple times crisis de-escalation. What is that?
Crisis de-escalation is when an individual presents as having a crisis, whether it's, I can't find my shoes to, I feel like I'm going to hurt myself. And what we do is we just assess the situation, determine what's the best way to de-escalate. Can we just talk to this individual and help them to cognitively determine that the situation can be resolved, help them resolve it, help them to set goals to resolve it. Sometimes it ends up that the individual needs to be psychiatrically hospitalized if they're saying that they're suicidal or homicidal.
Now, you mentioned at the bottom end somebody that just can't find their shoes, which I guess for the average individual would be pretty light stuff.
Right,
Do you work with people where not finding your shoes is a much bigger deal?
yeah, yes, I do.
Okay. I guess try to explain it in terms of the average person would think, well, you can't find your shoes, it's a big deal, would understand, so that you've got an idea of the nature of some of your clientele.
Well, some individuals with mental illness have like cognitive problems, whether it's from drug use or that they were born with a neurological problem or an inability to handle crises like what the average person would. Some individuals get upset because they can't find their house keys. And to them, it's immediate that needs to be resolved for them. You've got to help me find my house keys. What am I going to do? And they get escalated and anxious and upset. And then you just kind of have to try to calm them down in order to, I guess, help them to determine, okay, let's find your keys, try to calm down a little bit, and we'll get this job done. And usually that's what ends up happening.
Now,
Per se, or everything had kind of a religious connotation to it with her. She had to have, like, her laundry had to be done on certain days. She wanted to get her bills paid on the first of the month. She always contacted her payee and would get the money that she needed to do, like, her laundry and grocery shopping. So she pretty much had a regimen of what she wanted to do at the beginning of each month.
and for those that might not know, what is a payee?
A payee is an individual that's appointed because the client or the mental health client doesn't have the ability to handle their finances. They don't handle it well. They would just, if they get disability, which Elizabeth did, that $750 a month would be given to the payee and then kind of doled out to the client on their needs.
And when you say she received a disability, is that like a social security disability?
Yes.
SSD?
Yeah.
Is what they refer
Yes.
to. And so she was, Elizabeth Griffith did not hold the job.
No, she did not.
Okay. Was she otherwise functional, I guess, in society?
Not really, no. There was the incident which hospitalized her. She was out in front of her house and had put kerosene on her head and set her hair on fire. And the police were called, and of course she was hospitalized. And that was actually, I believe, the last time she was hospitalized, and then I received her as my client. But she had, she would sometimes be wandering out at a grocery store. And then, like I said, sometimes she would get highly upset if she was redirected, Elizabeth, go back home, just go relax. And she would get highly upset.
But on occasion, she was able to go out and just do her grocery shopping
Yeah,
ride the bus. to an
yeah,
extent.
mostly the case manager took her to do her grocery shopping, but infrequently, as she would go get something, she would walk to the store.
You discussed the incident that led to her hospitalization. Did Elizabeth have suicidal thoughts? Or at least,
She did not when I met her, and it was my client, but prior to that, according to the record, yes, she did.
and were these sorts of issues the issues you would discuss in counseling session?
Sometimes. Other times it was just kind of putting out like an immediate crisis. For instance, she would go to the Croc Center and would kind of get upset with an individual, and she'd want to process why that person was maybe picking on her, or, you know, why did they say what they did. It was more emergent with her, that she wanted to just talk about the issue at hand.
Would such a crisis as you just described be a product of her misperception? I mean, would somebody say something to her and she just took it differently than maybe somebody without her issues would think?
Yes, a lot of times she felt if a person wasn't a Christian, that, oh my gosh, she didn't take to them very, very easily.
Okay, so she would gravitate more towards folks that did have
Yeah,
a little more religious.
right.
She was on medication,
Yes.
multiple medications.
I think at least 3, but we had difficulty with her taking them. She was not consistent in taking the medications.
Did her medications or her condition affect her sleep habits?
Yes, definitely.
How so?
A lot of times she would call our crisis helpline at, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and talk for, anywhere I would say between 45 minutes to sometimes an hour and a half with the crisis worker about like her religious thoughts and an individual that may have upset her earlier that day, just kind of issues that were a concern for her but weren't really like a normal societal issue. Like why isn't everybody, a good example would be, why isn't everybody a Christian? And I try to be a Christian, why can't everybody else? And she would want to try and resolve these issues through our crisis helpline, so.
And that would be in the middle of the night or?
Oh, yeah, it was usually any time past midnight, sometimes before, but usually after midnight. And gosh, that would be anywhere from 2 to sometimes 4 and 5 times a week.
Was she a curious person?
I couldn't answer that, I don't know.
Okay. Would she strike you as someone who would want to explore and make it happen?
No.
You're definite in that.
Like I said, Elizabeth was very regimented and, she had everything at her house. There were certain days that her laundry needed to be done. There was a certain day she would call her payee. She knew what day she had to come up to Appleseed. She knew what day the case manager was coming to her home to take her to the laundromat or the grocery store. She would go up to the Croc Center and have a meal or two, during the week. So she was pretty consistent with what she did.
Did she like to play games?
Yes.
Did she have any favorites?
Farkle.
Okay.
She made me play it one time in the office with her. She taught me how to play it.
As best you can, how does one play fun?
Oh gosh, I couldn't tell you. This was a one-time deal. I was not following her real well, so. It's a dice game, I know that much.
Okay, so it's a dice game, multiple dice?
Yeah.
You roll in the game is based on whatever numbers come up.
Right, she was very frustrated because I couldn't pick up on it, so.
Okay. Causing crisis in the county.
Yes, well, again, it was something that relaxed her, even though it wasn't really conducive to counseling per se, but we kind of talked as we played Farkle, so.
Had you ever been over to her apartment?
No.
Okay. So that wouldn't be within your duties to leave?
No, the case manager, that would be more their duty, but I never did.
Did you ever talk about playing Yahtzee?
I don't remember that she had asked me that now.
Okay. Good Farkle sticks out.
Yes.
Did there come a time when Elizabeth missed some appointments?
Yes. Yes.
When was that?
It would have been in August. And there was probably a month or two before that, but it was in August that she missed a couple of appointments in a row. And one was at the beginning of the month, and then her next scheduled appointment she missed, which was I think around the 15th or 16th of August, 2016.
So she missed the mid-August appointment.
Right.
Had she made the first August appointment? or-
No.
Okay. Was it when she missed appointments from time to time? I mean, would she miss appointments from time to time?
Infrequently, yeah. If she would get like upset about something, or, sometimes she would get upset with people at the agency. Well, I don't like that Dr. Blanky, or Tina, I don't like you anymore, but she would eventually come back, so that would happen every now and then.
Did she also miss the appointment on September 1st?
Yes.
And I guess at what point did you realize hadn't seen Elizabeth?
Actually, we were in a staff meeting, and I was talking with the case manager. We had missed a prior staff meeting due to the supervisor being out, and I said something to the case manager, and then I said something to the crisis supervisor at the time. I said, has Elizabeth been calling into the helpline? And she said, well, no, actually she hasn't. And that's kind of what alerted me, because the case manager had not seen her either. And that just struck me as very odd.
Were you able to check on the last time she called in to the crisis line?
I know I looked at one point, yes.
Do you recall the last time she called in, what the date was?
No, actually I don't. I don't remember the date.
I said August 15th.
Probably because the months of July and the 1st of August and the latter part of June, she was calling in almost nightly. I mean, it was, I would get like a printout of the note almost every day in my mailbox of her calling into the helpline. So that would sound about right, yeah.
So, I guess once at your staff meeting, you realized everybody really heard from Elizabeth, what did you do?
I said to the case manager, I said, well, I think the first thing we did was we ran over to her apartment just to check on her. And there was no answer. And then one of the neighbor ladies came out from across the way. And I asked the neighbor lady, I said, have you seen Elizabeth lately? And she said, no, we haven't seen her for a couple, 2 or 3 weeks. Right there, I knew something was wrong. So then the case manager and I couldn't really tell you the sequence, but we hit the laundromat, we hit the Croc Center, we talked to the manager at the apartment complex of which Elizabeth lived. We talked to a couple friends of hers that same day, and nobody had seen her for about this 2-week period of time. And then I asked the case manager to contact the payee. And while she was doing that, I had Facebooked the church pastor to see if he'd seen Elizabeth, because I knew she went to church. That was a given. And he had responded that no, he had not, and wondered where she was. And then the case manager came back and told me that the payee hadn't heard from her. And it was already past the 1st of the month. Well, the money comes in the 1st of the month, and Elizabeth was on top of that. And nothing. So then I knew something was really wrong.
So with all of that information on board, what did you do?
I think the first thing I did was I asked the apartment manager to see if she would enter the apartment, just to see if Elizabeth was in there.
Okay.
hoping that she wasn't. So I did that first, and then I contacted Officer Kirk Dorsey, who told me to contact, I believe it was Officer Hyde with the Ashland Police Department. And so that's what I did. I reported her as missing, and I explained, that there's just too many things that are not going the way it typically would with her. And I said, something's up.
Did the manager let you into?
No, I asked her to go in.
Okay.
Because we weren't there at the time. We had kind of been running around town trying to figure out where she'd been last. And I got back to the office and the apartment manager, I asked her if she would go in. And she said she would. And then she called me back later, because I specifically asked, I said, see if there's dirty laundry in the laundry basket. And if she has a little pink purse sitting on the counter. And when she called me back, she said, well, the laundry's in the basket. I thought, okay, something's really not right. Because the laundry just did not sit there that long. So, and she didn't find the purse.
Do you recall what date you spoke to Officer Hine?
September 7th, I believe.
So, council states exhibit 203. Should I look at the mark, just exhibit 203? What can you tell us today?
Yes, that's Elizabeth Griffith.
Any objection?
Nothing further.
Cross examine.
Thank you, Jeff. Good afternoon.
Hi.
And I'm probably the only person in the room right now that has to ask this, but is it Schwartz or Schwartz?
It's Schwartz.
Schwartz.
SW. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You indicated that you have between 60 and 90 in the caseload?
That's an average, yeah. Right now, it's probably sitting at 75, 80. It fluctuates.
Okay. You mentioned the kind of problems with those. John paranoid schizophrenia, is that correct?
Yes.
And must be coupled with apparently some religious ideations to some extent.
I couldn't hear you.
Must be coupled with some religious ideations to some extent?
Right.
Okay. Do you have a lot of people on your caseload with with those kind of problems?
No.
Okay. Did she have other problems associated with those?
I mean, can you be more specific? What kinds of problems? I mean,
Problems that
mental
you
health
would-
issues or?
Problems that you would be treating her for, or that the agency would be treating her for?
Just kind of de-escalation. She would get kind of, upset. Like I said, if her pay wouldn't issue her money, she would contact the case manager and then contact me. If something just didn't go right, yeah.
When somebody has a rigid plan that you've spoken about, or a rigid schedule,
It's regimented.
regimented schedule, is there a description for that?
What do you mean a description?
Well, does that,
Diagnosis?
yes, does that fall into a particular category? Does it fall into several categories, or?
Some people, that's just how they're wired.
Okay, so that's not necessarily,
A diagnosis.
okay, indicative
Indicative.
of mental illness. It's just the way she was, the way she was built.
Right.
All right. Which probably let everybody else in here off the hook, is everybody's thinking in their minds right now with what I do when I get home. What other kind of treatments do you see, or diagnoses that you see regularly in your work, in your caseload?
Depression, anxiety, bipolar, drug alcohol issues, panic disorder, plain schizophrenia without it being paranoid, borderline personality disorder, narcissism, antisocial personality disorder. I mean, pretty much a lot of what the DSM-5, which is the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, has.
The whole works.
I would say, yeah, yeah.
Are there people that have such a serious diagnosis that would not be on your caseload, or do you get whoever comes in the door?
Now, since I started there, I usually get the people that really nobody else wants, the more difficult. People that are released from prison, people that have lengthy criminal backgrounds, drug and alcohol issues.
Do you notice that people that are released from prison have mental issues as well?
Yes.
You do? You mentioned that you see some individuals that are born with neurological disorders.
Right.
Not all individuals you see, though, are born with neurological disorders, are they?
No.
How else do they acquire those disorders?
Environmental trauma, head injury.
And you see that every day?
Pretty much, yeah. Last 35 years.
When Elizabeth missed an appointment with you, while it might have been out of the ordinary, it wasn't necessarily unexpected, was it?
Right, right.
But when she stopped calling the crisis line, that would probably be out of the ordinary, and that would be unexpected.
Definitely.
And when those phone calls stopped coming in, that meant more to you at that point than her not showing up for an appointment. Is that right?
Right. It was a culmination of all of that together, but the helpline call stopping, yeah, that was a big red flag.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Are you ready?
Attorney Whitney asked you, you've seen people released from prison that need help with their mental issues. Do you agree with me that not all people have mental issues?
No, they don't.
And not everyone released from prison has mental issues?
No.
And to determine whether or not somebody has a mental issue, they would have to go through some diagnostic procedure, correct?
That's correct.
By a trained professional.
Right.
Who would then be in a position to tell us whether or not they have mental issues.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Witness, Mr. Snow.
Officer Cody Huntington. What's your name?
Officer Hine,
And Officer Ine, how are you employed?
City of Ashland Police Division.
And what do you do for the City of Ashland Police Division?
I respond to calls from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
And what, how long have you been on that, I guess, day shift?
I've been on night shift now for 8 months, but I worked day shift for 4.
Okay. And how long have you been with the department for?
2 years.
And back in September of 2016, how long have you been with the department?
It was about 8 months, I believe.
Okay. And for a period of those 8 months, you'd be on the probationary time?
Yeah.
And usually riding around with somebody?
Yes.
How long does that last?
That was about 4 months.
Okay. So in September of 2016, you've been out solo for about 4 months?
Yeah.
Give or take? Did you happen to take a missing persons report on September 7th, 2016?
Yes, I did.
From whom?
Tina Schwartz,
And about whom?
Elizabeth Griffin.
And in your time, I guess 8 months, had you previously met Elizabeth Griffin?
Yes, several times.
Several times. What sort of things did you meet Elizabeth Griffin?
She would call often about, she was in an apartment complex, problems with her neighbors, and smelling marijuana in the building that she was in. We responded for that often.
Okay. And what apartment complex did she live in?
She was in Stony Creek.
And do you recall her particular address?
It's like 269 apartment H, something like that.
Or something like that? But you don't recall it offhand?
Something close to that.
Okay. But it's in there, Stony Creek.
Yes.
Apartment buildings, is that correct?
Yes.
And she'd call on her neighbors for smoking weed, is it?
Yes.
Okay. How was she when you'd see her in the normal course of your activity?
She was always decent with me. She had her problems. I mean, she was a little paranoid and stuff like that,
But otherwise, she was polite with you?
yeah, always polite.
Not doing anything, I guess, out of the ordinary anymore? Okay. Did you, I guess, conduct some quantity of investigation
Yes.
once you got this report?
Yes.
Through your investigation, were you able to determine the date that people had last seen Elizabeth?
The date that was pretty consistent was August 16th or 16th.
Okay. In your travels then, in your investigation, did you find anybody that saw her happy?
I don't think so, which I don't recall. But I think the 16th was pretty much the last day.
Okay. And at some point then, did the investigation get taken up by someone in the detective bureau?
Yes.
Who was that?
Captain Lay took over it for me for a while.
Thank you, Officer. Undercover.
Damon?
Is it Officer Hine?
Yes, sir.
H-I-M-E?
H-Y-I-N-D, sorry, Hine.
Okay, all right, thank you. You testified, sir, that you had known or were acquainted with Elizabeth Griffith
Yes, sir.
prior to her missing persons report coming up.
Yes, sir.
You take calls from her, like phone calls where she called into the police department.
She would call dispatch and it would be dispatched.
Okay, and was it always marijuana that she called about or other problems?
That's just one example I can remember off the top of my head.
Several other examples of
Yeah.
that somebody was bothering her, causing trouble for her, things like that?
There was an array of things that she called for.
Didn't have any hesitancy about calling, did she?
No.
All right. And besides the police reports that you took or worked on, you saw her person to person too, did you not? And she would, you indicated that she had her problems. Would she discuss her problems with you?
No, it was just something that we knew with her seeing Appleseed. We knew that she had issues that she was dealing with.
Right. But did she seek you out or stop and talk to you about her issues, or problems, or whatever? I thought you discussed with her her problems, or you could see her on the street, or
I
maybe
would discuss the problems she had when she called and tried to find a solution.
She never sought you out to talk about her problem.
Me personally, no.
Okay.
Only when I was dispatched there.
Beg your pardon?
Only when I was dispatched there.
That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Thank you, officer.
Raise your right.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Officer Grate. Excuse. Mr. Bell.
Rebecca Taylor. Thank you, Your Honor. What's your name?
Rebecca Taylor,
And where do you live, Ms. Taylor?
here in Ashland,
How long have you lived in Ashland?
all my life.
And you currently employed?
No, I'm not, I'm semi-retired.
Okay. And where are you semi-retired from?
Ashland Public Transit,
And how long did you work for Ashland Public Transit?
5 years.
And what did you do for the public transit?
I was a transit driver.
Okay. So, I guess, what is Ashland Public Transit?
We're transport people that have no way to get around, doctor's appointments, shopping, children in school, elderly, disabled, anybody.
Okay. Now, is this like a regular bus with a route?
And no, we don't have a set route. We go by requested pickup.
Okay, so you almost have to make an appointment.
Yes.
Okay. So you're kind of like Uber with a lot of seats.
Yeah.
And were you so employed in August of 2016?
Yes, I was.
When did you leave Ashland Public Transit?
The first of this year.
Okay. And in the course of your duties, did you know an individual by the name of Elizabeth Griffin?
Yes, I did.
And how did you know Elizabeth?
Picking her up at home or take her to shopping, or doctor's appointment, wherever you want to go.
And how long did you usually, how long would you say you've been driving Elizabeth around?
Oh, well, she went with us maybe sometimes 2 or 3 times a week.
Okay. And were you the only driver at the time?
No, I was not.
So how many drivers are there for that public transit?
There was 7, a total of 7.
Okay. And how many buses?
8 it was.
Okay. So you got a spare.
Yeah.
Does that run 24 hours or just between?
No, it runs Monday through Friday, 6 to 9, and Saturday, 8.
Okay. And is there a difference in the fee you pay?
If you're 65 and older, it's $1.50 pre-scheduled, $2.50 same day, and that's also for disabilities, disabled people. And if you're just an ordinary person, say, it was $3 pre-scheduled and $5 same day trip.
So there's a difference between pre-scheduled and
Yeah.
same day?
Yeah,
Okay, so you have the ability to just call the transit
right.
and have them come over?
And come over, but then you have a chance of sitting and waiting for hours.
You're gonna have to wait until everybody's done with their schedule?
Yes,
And can you also prepay?
yes, you can.
And how does one do that?
They go into the office, there is a paper that they would fill out to start a prepaid account, and they would put money onto that account to use for their trip.
And then they wouldn't have to,
Then they wouldn't have to have their exchange, because at that time, we were not making change for nothing.
so if you didn't have direct change, you weren't,
You were out of luck.
you weren't riding, you were walking?
Right.
Okay. And, I guess you drove Elizabeth around frequently.
Like we all shared taking her place. Yeah.
What kind of person was she?
She was very friendly, very outgoing. I mean, we didn't talk much because we were about to ask questions about their life or boyfriends or whatever. But she was very nice. She helped people whenever she could.
You saw that?
Yes, I did.
She helped people. What sort of people would she help?
There were some people that were living in the building where she was living that they didn't have money, so she had her prepaid account. She would let them, with her authorization, she would let them use her prepaid account. They didn't have the money.
Would she have to call ahead?
Yeah, she usually let us know.
Okay, that so-and-so would be right.
Yeah.
She did. All right. I'll show you what we marked here as Exhibit 203. You recognize who that's a picture of?
That's Elizabeth.
What's the difference between the two sets?
The one is drop off. This was, I don't know exactly where the spot is.
Okay. Does it look like there's a difference in fees?
Yeah, same day price. These things were called in the same day.
Okay. Drawing your attention to the pre-scheduled ones here, the third one down. What date is that?
The 16th of August.
And do you recall picking Elizabeth up or anywhere on the 16th of August?
Yes, sir. I picked her up at Aldi.
Okay. And what time did you pick her up?
Probably 9:50, somewhere in that area.
Okay. And where'd you take her?
I took her to Dorlo's on Orange Road.
Okay.
I dropped her off.
And do you recall her that day?
Yes, I did.
And how was she?
She was in good spirit.
She talked?
Not so much, no. I told her when I dropped her off that I wouldn't be able to stay and wait on her, because we used to do that.
Okay.
She said, that's fine, I'm just going to grab something to eat and go home.
All right. Is So she jumped off the door low, and
Yes,
you drove off.
yes, I did.
Okay. Did you see her later again in the day?
Yes, I did.
Okay, where was that?
I seen her walking on Main Street heading east near Lee Avenue about between 12:30 and 1.
Okay. So sometime shortly afternoon,
Yes,
early afternoon you saw her.
yes, I did.
And it was that day?
Yes, it was.
Okay. If somebody else thought you had said it was a couple of days later.
Well, when the officer come and questioned me, you know, it's been a while.
Mhm.
And I forgot, and I told him it could have been a couple more days after that, the 16th, but I said, I'm pretty sure it was,
Now, what makes you sure it was the 16th?
because of the day it was. Because I remember dropping her off, and I was coming back from Walmart, and I seen her on Main Street.
Okay. And so when you saw somebody you had just dropped off
Yeah,
earlier that day, you thought, well,
I always thought to myself, I wish to come back out that way. I just brought her back from there a few hours ago.
okay. And when you saw her by Lee, that's by the drive-through there, there used to be a gas station
Usually a
there?
gas station, yeah.
Okay. So you thought it was odd that somebody you picked up way out at the end of Main Street?
Yeah, I was walking
Now she's,
down that way.
but if you called for the bus, you'd have to wait a while.
Yes, she would.
Okay.
And she did walk quite a lot sometimes.
So you'd see her walk around town?
Yeah, like she walked at dollar stores or something like that.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ross again?
Thank you, Judge. Ma'am, if I understood correctly, you had transported Elizabeth on August the 16th, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And was that in the morning hours?
Yes, it was.
And you took her, picked her up?
I picked her up at Aldi, by Walmart, and took her to Dorlo's on Aldi Store.
Dorlo?
Yeah.
Okay, about what time was that, please?
So I dropped her off there around 10 o'clock in the morning,
And then later on that same day, August 16th, you saw her,
walking on Main Street.
all right, and that was how long after you
It
had
was a
dropped her
couple
off?
hours after I dropped her off at Dorlo's.
And did you see her again later?
No, just that time on Main Street.
Okay, same day?
Yes,
All right. You didn't see her the next day?
no,
Okay. And that was about 12:30 to 1 when you saw her walking
yeah.
by herself?
Yes, by herself.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, sir.
Redirect. Thank you, ma'am. Excuse.
Thank you. You want your paper back? There you are. Yeah.
Cindy Swanger. Cindy Swanger.
Cindy Swanger. Jim? She's coming in. Next week. Cindy Swanger. you, sir.
Before we get too far, Mr. Janelle, do you want to proceed? Let's lay some foundation to see if this is really necessary or not. Based on the application.
She might be.
Could you tell us your name, please?
Yeah, Cindy Lynn Swinger.
And how are you employed, if at all?
I am not, I'm retired.
And what are you retired from?
Different jobs.
Okay. And was there a time when you did peer-to-peer, what they call peer-to-peer counseling?
Yes, I did.
What is peer-to-peer counseling?
Peer-to-peer counseling is where I'm not really a counselor to say. I don't have a degree or anything. It's just two people on the same level, and they are talking back and forth about a certain subject.
One particular subject or any subject they care to discuss?
It can be an individual subject or any subject the two people care to discuss.
And where did you do that?
I did that on the telephone from my house. I've done it on the bus. I've done it in the community. I've done it at the Croc Center. I've done it at, there used to be a peer support center called LifeWorks, and I attended there, and I've done it there also.
And in your, did you know Elizabeth Griffith?
Yes, I did.
And how did you meet Elizabeth?
I met Elizabeth after I first moved here, like 7 years ago. And I believe I met her at LifeWorks. That's where I first met Elizabeth.
Okay. And over time, did you, I guess, describe your relationship, if any, with Elizabeth?
Elizabeth was like a family member to me, a younger sister. And she could call me anytime, morning or night, it didn't matter.
And the two of you would talk?
Yes, we could discuss many, many things.
And over the course of 7 years, I guess you grew closer with Elizabeth?
Yes.
And I guess leading up to the time that she disappeared, how often would you say that you would speak to Elizabeth?
Probably, I could speak to her a couple of times a day, once a day, maybe a couple times a week. It depended on Elizabeth.
Okay. It just depended on when she needed to talk.
Right.
Did Elizabeth know where your house was?
Yes, she did.
Okay.
She tried to come to the house more than once, and she got a little bit confused, and she had to call me, and then I would meet her.
Okay. And where would you meet her?
Different places. I could meet her at a restaurant. I could meet her at the store. I could meet her about anywhere and be able to direct her to my house.
Okay. Is your house hard to find?
Once you've been there, no, but people can get the street mixed up.
And what street is it?
I'd rather not answer that question if I don't have to.
Let me ask it this way for you. There are certain streets in Ashland that sort of start and then stop and go up a block or two and then seem to start again,
Okay,
and they just kind of disappear. Are you on such a street?
yes, I am.
Okay, so there's a break in that street, and if you don't, it's not a street you can start at one end and walk all the way to another in a straight
No,
line.
it is not.
Okay. And so that might be confusing to some.
Yes,
In fact, it confused Elizabeth on
it
occasion.
did on more than one.
Okay. Did she call you on August 16th?
Yes, she did.
Do you know where she was when she called?
She told me she was at Dorlo's,
Okay.
and she told me that she had to use the
Just a minute,
restroom.
just a minute. Is that your objection?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Councilwoman Approach. Gary will disregard the answer to the last question. Ask another question, Mr. Bell.
I will. What was her demeanor like on the telephone? What was she like?
Mr. Chanel, I don't understand what demeanor means.
What did she, how would you describe how she felt on the phone? Excited? Sad?
She seemed to me to be a little bit anxious. Like she really needed to talk to me about something.
Okay. And were you able to talk at that time?
No, I was not.
Why not?
I was leaving my house, and I had asked Elizabeth, and because she was excited, anxious, she had forgotten that I had asked her to please call me ahead of time because I'm in and out. Because I do this peer support with other people, and I'm disabled myself. So I'm in and out at times. So I asked Elizabeth to please call me ahead of time before she was coming to my house.
And I guess, is Dorlo in the general area of your house?
Yes.
But I take it when you had given her those instructions, you didn't mean to come all the way to Dorlo and then call.
No, I did not.
You needed more advance warning than that.
Yes.
Following that telephone conversation, did you ever speak to Elizabeth again?
No.
Did you think it was odd that you hadn't spoken to her?
Yes, I tried to find her.
And what did you try to do?
I contacted people at LifeWorks asked if they had seen her. I kept calling her home. I'd go on search parties to try to find her.
Had you spoken to her in the days leading up to the 16th?
Yes.
What was her mood like in those days leading up?
Elizabeth was pretty excited about something. She acted like, I don't know, I would take it from what I knew Elizabeth, that she had met somebody. She was in a real giddy mood at times. She'd be super, super happy. She'd tell me things like, I understand how you could really love
Just a
someone.
minute, ma'am. Just a second. You're gonna be just a little louder with your projections. Sustain.
You took it to mean she had met someone. Did she ever tell you who? Did you ever meet this individual?
No.
Is this someone she wanted you to meet?
I do believe, yes. In my opinion, yes.
Was this new? A new emotion for Elizabeth?
Yes.
So you had never seen her in this way before?
No.
In your relationship with Elizabeth, was she prone to take things the wrong way?
Good, yes.
So if someone showed her attention, would it be possible that she would take that the wrong way?
In my opinion, yes, she could.
So we can't really say whether or not she met somebody, but she thought she did. Is that fair?
That could be a person.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 203. Who is that?
That was
Just so we're clear, that last phone call you got from Elizabeth, that was on August 16th?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Cross-examined.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Swanger, could you describe what peer-to-peer counseling is again?
Yes, it's two people that can be having a conversation. Sometimes one of the people would be helping to explain maybe a word, maybe a feeling, maybe something that the other one did not understand necessarily.
Is it kind of like being a friend to somebody?
It's, you end up, the relationship between the peer and the peer supporter is more than a friend, much more.
Do you have any, at least from what you said before, it sounds like you don't have any training as a counselor?
As a counselor, no, I don't have any degrees or anything.
But I'm guessing you must have had some kind of training.
Yes.
Okay. What kind of training did you have?
To be a peer support person, you have to take 16 hours of e-base training. And what that is it's, I don't know how to explain it. It's through the computer, and it's like they give you a subject, and you have a professional teaching you that subject. Then you take a test at the end of that, and you have to score at least 70 or above, or you have to do it again.
Is this a volunteer position or paid position?
It can be paid position. Then after you take the e-base training, then you have to go through 6 weeks of training, and that is on different subjects, and you have a state test at the end that you have to take. And then you get a certificate, and you can go to like hospitals or mental hospitals, or like here in Ashland, Appleseed, and you can be paid for it. I do it voluntarily. The money means nothing to me.
When you said state test, does that mean there's a state, is there Ohio state licensing or licensing through the state of Ohio for this kind of counseling?
Counseling, no. Ohio State, it's, I can't really tell you the name of the thing. It's not in my brain, I'm sorry. But there is a state test that we take, yes.
Is the state test done by a private agency, or is it a state test that is adopted by some department of the state of Ohio?
The way I understand it, it is an agency that is adopted by the state of Ohio.
Okay. Who, as a volunteer, who oversees your position?
Okay, I need to think about that for a minute. Who oversees me personally is the ones that give the test. In other words, if there is a complaint, okay, that I did something wrong, because there are rules that you sign your, and there is a code of ethics that you sign your name to. If you break one of those rules, you can be punished by the state,
Even as a volunteer?
even as a volunteer.
Okay, let's bring it a step down from there. In Ashland, in your home in Ashland, which I guess you work out of your home, right?
At times I can.
Okay. Who says to you, I want you to be a peer-to-peer, peer-on-peer counselor with Elizabeth Griffin?
I got asked by Carter, I don't remember his last name, but he works at Appleseed. And then Elizabeth Griffith asked me herself.
So it's this is a referral from Appleseed, is that how this starts?
After I take all the schooling, yes.
Are you a peer-to-peer counselor with other people?
Yes.
And are those people all referred by Appleseed?
No.
Okay. Where else do you get referrals from?
I can have the peers actually come to me, and they know I've had the training, and they can ask me themselves, or I can get it from the peer center I volunteer at now, which is Pathways. I can get it from them. I can get it from Appleseed. I can get it from somebody's counselor.
Okay, what's Pathways?
Pathways is a peer support center. And what that means is we as peers run it. Now it is overseen by Catholic Charities, and it is financed by the Mental Health and Recovery Board.
Okay. That was kind of a roundabout way, but that's what we're trying to get.
Okay.
So you essentially are a volunteer for Pathways agencies then, is that right?
Among others, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are you ready?
No, thank you.
Thank you, man, you're excused.
Thank you.
That's business.
Well, good support of Stanley.
Good afternoon.
How you doing today?
All right, how are you doing today?
I'm here.
Okay. What's your name, please?
Corey Stanley,
Corey, how old are you?
24.
You working?
Yeah.
Where do you work?
Drive truck at Arnold Carriers.
Okay. Local or over the road?
I'm local.
How long you been driving the truck?
About 4 years.
So you got a CDL to do that?
Yeah, I got Class
You got a family?
A. No, this is my loved ones back there, brother and stuff.
Yeah. And, who's your mom?
Stacy Stanley.
Okay. Now, we've also heard her referred to as Stacy Hicks.
Yeah, that was her name. She was married at one time to Michael Hicks.
Okay. Were they divorced?
Yeah, they got divorced.
Okay.
She finally got her name changed back maybe a year before all this happened.
So some of her items then, cards and the like, may still say Stacy Hicks.
Yeah.
And where did she live?
In pretty much at the Woodland Trailer Park.
And she lived there by herself?
Yeah.
Did anything live there with her?
Yeah, she had 2 little dogs, Chaco and Maya, and she had a cat named Sis.
Has she had them all?
Yeah, I think years since they were puppies, and every cat she ever owned was named Sis. Every one.
Well, you can't mess up the name then, can you?
No.
Now, where do you live?
I currently live in Norwalk.
Right. And did the Stanley family live in Ashland at one time?
I used to live, I was born here in Ashland, and we lived here for a little while. And my uncle here lives in Ashland with his wife and kids.
So you still have roots in Ashland?
Yeah.
And so you lived here with your mom for a time in Ashland?
Yeah, when I was a child, yeah.
Okay. And then at some point, everybody on your side started moving down?
Yeah.
How long has she lived in Greenwood?
She's lived there, I want to say, I don't think she lived there for like 4 or 5 years. She lived there. I've been there all the kids. We've lived around different places, growing up. I lived there for 4 or 5 years, I believe.
Okay. Describe your mom.
She's a great person, very loving and caring, and she's a fantastic cook. She's a great person. She loves her animals, her family, her kids, and she's a wonderful person to be around.
Should counsel States Exhibit 205.
Okay, thank you.
Show you States Exhibit 205. Who's that, Corey?
And that's my mother.
Your Honor, if we could publish 205.
No objection.
Or shows up on the next day. Is that a hairdo she was featuring, I guess, at the time, in August and September of 2016?
No, that's the hairstyle she's had as a lifetime.
Okay.
That's a lifetime thing.
She's not one to change the hair up. She's
She trimmed it down. I used to look like a satellite instead back in the day.
okay. So a little longer or shorter, but the same general style.
Yeah. Hours to do that on a daily basis.
Okay. It just doesn't happen, does it? No. And she's featuring in this picture, what they think I call a choker.
Yeah.
Is that, she frequently,
Yeah, she's, first one she ever had, actually my brother bought her. My brother bought her one, I believe something, it was Mohican or something, or something, bought her one, and she wore it until it fell apart, and she was you got to learn them down and get used to it, like anything.
Now, she came to Ashland on September 8th. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Do you know why she was coming to Ashland?
She said she might pick some things up in the store, and she was gonna get her nails done.
Okay. Did you guys have plans for that evening?
Yeah, we were supposed to go out to dinner, and I had worked third shift, and I didn't know if I was gonna go. I was tired, hadn't been in bed. I stayed up all that day, and she's like, I said, Mom, I'm not gonna go. And she said, all right, Mom, we'll run some errands. Things that you and Ashley go to Ashland. I said, all right, and she ended up coming down here, and my aunt told me into going to dinner that evening.
Okay. So there was a little bit of a discussion then with your mom about whether or not these plans would come together, and ultimately they did not.
Right.
Okay. Were these, did you speak to her about them, or how were you communicating?
I think it was some text messages, I believe, and over the phone, if I'm not mistaken.
So council states exhibit 206. All right, I'll show you what we marked as states exhibit 206. Now, do you recall what that's a picture of?
Yeah, it's from my cell phone, our text messages.
Okay, so you actually took a picture at some point of the text messages? Or somebody took a picture?
The detective did, yeah.
Okay, so at some point you were talking to a detective.
Yeah.
Looking at that particular exhibit, about what time, does it document the time that you're having this conversation about dinner?
Yeah, between 5:39 and then last message was 6:27 before she had her flat tire.
And you talked to her, you actually spoke to her on the phone after this conversation?
Yeah.
Okay, but around 5:39 is about when dinner fell apart.
Yeah, yes.
Where were you going to have this dinner?
Applebee's in Sandusky.
I guess, just for the record, State's Exhibit 206, is that a fair and accurate representation of your phone, the text messages that occurred that day?
Yes, sir.
I think you started to tell us, though, that your aunt talked you into going to dinner?
Yeah, she didn't talk to me going.
Okay. So you ended up going to dinner anyhow?
Yeah.
Where was this dinner?
At Applebee's in Sandusky.
In Sandusky.
Yeah.
And, were you still at Applebee's in Sandusky when your mother, or you spoke to your mother on the telephone?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And what was the issue at that time?
She had called me and she was freaking out because her tire was flat on her car, and she had multiple flats from that. She had got the tire replaced a couple times at the same place in Mansfield. And that's she was freaking out because it's flat.
It was flat again?
Yeah.
That same tire?
Yeah.
Several times at the same place?
Same, yeah.
Who did that?
I don't remember the name of the company in Mansfield. It's a little rinky.
Okay, because yeah, we can pump them out right now.
Yeah.
Sure nobody goes.
Not really Mansfield.
Okay. So, they, so she called, she said she was freaking out. About what time did this call come in?
I want to say 8:30, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere right there.
Okay.
I'm not sure about the time.
Now, what did she want you to do about it?
She called freaking out just because she didn't know what to do. And I told her that we try to find somebody, you know, whether they got on our cell phone and kind of find somebody to change a tire in that area. And we just got a hold of a gentleman that and he said he couldn't do it. And he said he might know a guy. He called him. I ended up calling him back. So it was so long for the response. And he called, he said, oh yeah, I tried to leave and go down there. James. So I called my mom back and said, hey, I got something on the way down the
So you and your brother are working the phone,
Yeah.
trying to get somebody lined up to go help.
Yeah.
Where was she?
She was at the BP gas station here in Ashland.
Okay.
Touches something.
So finally, if I get this correct, you called a guy, who then called a guy, who allowed us how he would go help at the time.
Yes.
All right, who's the guy you called?
Chad Murr.
Okay, so you called Chad Murr, and who did Chad Murr get to go deal with the tire?
Our buddy Wayne.
Wayne?
Yeah, I don't know the last name.
Okay. So Wayne agrees he's gonna go deal with his tire situation.
Yeah.
All right, and then you had to call mom back.
Yeah, call that.
Okay. When you called your mom back and told her this, was she alone?
No. All right.
Now, when you found out that she wasn't alone, what was your reaction to that?
I said, Mom, I said, it's ironic. I said, Mom, that's no, I didn't know a few of the choice of words. And I said, tell me, you know, how you got something going down there. You know, it's ironic I said that, you know.
Were you concerned?
Yeah, I was going to drive down there myself, but I had no sleep and I didn't have a vehicle at the time. I drove to dinner with my girlfriend. We met there with everybody. And she had to work that evening, so.
So you're kind of stranded up in Sandusky.
Yeah.
Okay. So after that contact with her, she found out she wasn't alone there. Did you speak to her again?
Yeah, I did. After the tire was fixed and she was at the gas station. And she was going to get a coffee and she was going home. And then she talked to me tomorrow.
And about what time was that?
I want to say around 10 something, 15, 10:30 maybe.
Okay. So this was quite the ordeal with the tire.
Yeah.
Initial calls were like 8:30 and
Takes a while.
it's like 2 hours to get this tire situation sorted out.
Yeah.
So she's getting a coffee, she's gonna come home. Now you worked third shift the night before, been up all day. Did you go back into work? Did you have to work that night?
I was off that evening and I ended up working the next night.
Okay. So you ended up working then the 9th into the 10th.
Yeah, I believe so,
Okay. At some point, did it occur to you that you hadn't spoken to your mom?
yeah, I wouldn't like my mom. We would go and talk to her on a daily basis, you know, and I got phone calls when I was driving on my way to work. I called my brother and I heard you talk to mom today. You know, I haven't talked to her. I just didn't, it wasn't right. Wasn't like her
How often would you talk to your mom ordinarily?
every day. Every day, 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day, all day, talk to her.
So you didn't talk to her at all then on the night?
No, I slept, you know, most of the day because I had been tired the day before.
So,
No, I didn't get to talk to her that day.
and so you went to work tonight and working until when on the 10th?
About 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, so
Did you make attempts to contact her?
all day. Everybody, my aunt, me, my brother, I was trying to get hold of her. Her phone would just beep. Like it was like almost like it was dead or something. It was answering.
Okay. do when you got off work?
I got with my aunt and my brother, and everybody, we went down to her house. The house was locked, and we threw the dogs, and the dogs were in the laundry room, they're in their cage. And here and there, I was like, well, the dogs still in their cage. And so we ended up breaking into the house, and so we had her over, car wasn't there, and the dogs had pooped and peed in the cage. That's not like my mom. She always loved her dogs, you know, let them out, took great care of them. So something's wrong.
So they had been in there for
Quite some time, yeah.
some time. Did you find the cat?
Yeah, that was, you know,
Cat was there?
yeah.
Cats are a little better than dogs.
Oh, yeah.
So you felt something was really wrong?
Yeah, I thought maybe she had gotten in an accident or something on the way home.
And about what time on the 10th? I believe that was a Saturday, does that sound right?
Yeah.
So about what time was this you would have been at her place?
It was like towards the evening time, maybe 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock maybe.
And so after seeing what was going on at her place, which
They made a missing person report to the Round County Sheriff's Department, and that was the county she lived in.
okay.
And we drove to, actually before that we had we drove up and down different routes. She would have drove back from Ashland, but maybe we could see if she made a wreck, you know, and nobody's seen it. And we drove back 3 or 4 times and went to the gas station where she was at, and looked, you know, and we could see nothing. So we made her to Ashland, back to Norwalk, and made a police report that she was missing.
And that all would have been on the 10th.
Yes.
Now, at some point, did you come to Ashland?
Yeah, we came to Ashland the next day. I believe we made Palmer Park, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And we were talking to put a logo out, you know, look out for my mom's car. And my mom, you know, with the missing person reporting. And we were down there talking to the Ashland City Police Department, see if they heard anything. And we heard come over the radio that day, and somebody called their car, and they found it over on 9th Street in Ashland. So we went over there, and they kind of said about her car for a while. They thought she'd go back to her car or something, you know, and she didn't, you know.
How long would you say you sat on the car?
It was me and my grandpa, and my girlfriend at the time, my brother and his wife, but they were in a different vehicle. We sat there for a couple hours before we had even, you know, approached the car. My brother approached the car, and it was kind of, we just wanted to know some questions and answers, you know. And so he kind of opened the car, and we started looking through it, see, find something, you know, or anything. So it was, we sat on it longer than that, you know. That whole rest of that day, I think this was that evening too, throughout the night.
Did you find, did anything strike you as odd
Yeah.
in the car?
Yeah, after my mom's, she was kind of shorter, you know, and I drove her car, and I can't get to the steering wheel, you know, so the seat was all the way back, and just, someone else had been in this car, and the seats were, and then, I noticed that ashtray had, Camel filtered cigarettes in it. My mom was called Camel cigarettes, and, she smokes, menthol, rolled cigarettes she rolled her own. And I let the officers know there that was there. And, these were my mom's cigarette butts, and the seat had been moved. Somebody else was driving it. Because it was a Mitsubishi Eclipse, and it was standard. You know, you got a push it, and she computers.
Did you look in the trunk?
Yeah, that was a big thing. Didn't know what had
I take it she wasn't there.
No.
Let me ask you this, was there any landscaping material in the car?
Yeah, there was supposed to be, I could have found out, there was no, there was supposed to be paper bricks and mulch, but that was not the car.
But there wasn't any of that?
No, it wasn't.
How about the flat tire?
They changed the donut, I don't, I've seen the spare, I seen the spare on the car, I've never seen the flat tire itself.
Okay. There's nothing else you found suspicious?
Her phone was laying in the floorboard, her personal cell phone, and then her ID was laying in the floorboard, purse was gone.
So no purse, when you say her ID, her driver's license?
I was laying down between the seats and there, like ransacked and stuff.
Yeah. Where does she ordinarily keep her driver's license?
In her purse, in her wallet.
Yeah. So that's strange to see that on the phone.
Yeah.
You said her personal phone, does she have two phones?
Yeah, she had a little phone, prepaid phone that she got through the government. She was on fixed income, she's disabled, and that wasn't there. But her other cell phone she had, she had Wi-Fi, when she had Wi-Fi, she could get on Facebook and stuff like that with it.
Okay. So not a phone you'd make regular telephone calls or
No, not too.
text with?
No.
So the phone you would have been texting with her, that's gone? Or at least it wasn't there?
I think, I don't know if that was on that car or not, I'm not sure. I don't think it was. That number, no. The one that I was texting was the one she would have had on there, with the 677 number.
Okay. So this is some other phone?
Yeah,
And where's she ordinarily keep her phone?
but they're in her purse.
In her purse. Are you familiar with what kind of key ring she carries?
Key ring?
Yeah.
Yeah, it had like sparkle things on it, it was like a lanyard, and they were all, a lot of them were chipping off. I don't know if she had got a new one prior to that, but yeah.
Was she have like a big old pile of keys or?
Yeah, it was pretty decent size.
Did she also have a can of mace?
Yeah, a little kind of mace.
What that look like?
I think it was pink. It was so small, it was on her keychain. She kept it on.
And she kept that on her keychain as well?
Yes.
Let me show you what we marked in State's Exhibit 15.
Yeah, that's it.
That's like what she carried?
That's exactly that.
Let me show you real quick, State's Exhibit 159. These keys here in the center.
I believe that, I don't know, I know she did have some of my, what you call it, to be honest.
Oh, the little shopper things you scan at the grocery
Something like
store.
that. This one was for image with me.
All right, so those at least look in the neighborhood of what her
Possibly, yeah, she
has
was.
been made. Good, Your Honor. 159, just so everybody else knows what we're talking about.
It's previously done.
So when you're pointing at the blue NA fob here, that's, it's in the center, the blue keychain next to the, I guess next to the keys, to the right of the keys, directly in front of what looks to be like a Plenty card and some of those other cards in front of what is number 49.
Yes.
So your mom was going to NA?
Yes, yeah. She had actually went to one, I believe, that evening. Not too sure where it was here in town, but it was in town. It was a meeting. She went to them on a regular basis.
How long had your mom been in recovery?
Since January of that, until 16, December until the 17th, she had went to jail over some drug charges. We were battling ongoing addiction she had, but she was in recovery, and I got her out of jail in January, and I had lived with her for a little while, and that was under my rules, and just to help make sure she stayed clean, because she was doing fantastic, excellent, best I ever seen her do. And she had been clean, and she had some use with her friends, and she was doing excellent.
And had been doing excellent
Yeah.
really all year.
Yeah, all full year.
Because that addiction cycle is kind of up and down, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've seen that.
Yes, I've seen that growing up. I have some other family members that are struggling with it, and it's just up and down thing, but that was the best, like I said, the best I've ever seen her do. She's doing excellent.
Best ever.
Yeah.
Lifetime.
Yes, yeah.
Great. So you guys sat on the car for a while. Nobody ever came back to it?
No. No, sir.
And I guess how long did you continue to search in Nashville?
A while. We never stopped until they got the 911 phone call. Actually, across the street from where her car was, my brother noticed some cameras. I was up there, and I went and asked if we could have the cameras there on the seat. And they said, yeah. And I went back and looked, there was nothing on it. The cameras hadn't been working. But another neighbor had seen somebody get on the car, and a lady with long hair get out of that car the night before we had found it. They had parked it there, and they had walked down the alley. So, and we continued to search all over the woods and just anywhere looking for it.
They never found it.
No.
Okay. Until I guess there was a commotion out at these houses by the laundromat.
Yeah. We searched the pump house. We looked up all the way up through them. Checked the dumpsters, just whatever. We just don't know.
How many people were out searching?
Oh, about a lot, like 50 of us, I'd say. But all through looking. It was very loved by our whole family.
And the search went on for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Should defense, or states 207 and 208 to defense counsel. I'll show you State's Exhibit 207. You recognize the lady pictured there?
Yes, no bullet.
Now, if we can publish to it, so.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right, so that lady right there is your mom?
Yes.
And I'll show you the streets exhibit 208. Do you recognize that vehicle?
Yeah, that's her daughter.
We can publish 208, John.
Any objection?
No objection. Thank you.
That's your mom's car.
Oh, yes, yes.
Now, at some point, did, I guess, the police department gather you up on the 13th? Or did you come into contact with the police department on the 13th?
Yeah, I do believe that.
That would be the day they had the trucks and the crime scene out at
Oh, yeah.
the Yellow House on Cove.
Yeah, I believe they kept, there's no water from international, you know, at school, and,
And I guess at some point, did they tell you they had found bodies in that house?
yeah, I had heard that before. I was actually working that day. I wasn't able to make it down. I was like down afterward. And I had my family called and said they had found bodies in the house that I needed to get down there. And I didn't want to know if I was there with family, you know. If it would have been. And I got down there. And it took over a day, 2 days to find out. You know, it was my mom in there. That was good.
At some point, were you and your fellow family members shown a photograph?
Yes, that was my mom, yeah.
States 210 to Defense Counsel. I'll show you what we marked as States Exhibit 210. Recognize that photo?
Yes, my mom got him.
That's a tattoo she had on her arm.
Yeah, she just got it recent, pretty recent.
And is that the same photo that the police officer showed you with the family member?
Yes.
I'll show you what we marked as States Exhibit 209. Recognize that?
That's my mom's wallet.
Is that where she ordinarily keeps her ID
Yeah.
in her car? Any cash she might have?
Yeah.
Whose picture is that? What's your brother's name? Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Cross-examine?
I have no question for what you're saying.
short and hard to get a hold of. He's out of here. Yeah.
Wayne, right?
Where's the witness?
Wayne, right. Thank you, Hunter. What's your name? And Mr. Grate, what do you do for a living?
Farm,
What kind of farming you do?
grain, hay,
And, how's it going at the moment?
a little let out.
A little wet. Okay. Farmed all your life?
Yeah.
Here in Ashland County?
Is that yes?
Sorry, this lady over here is typing everything down. so-
And can you put that speaker to both as well, thank you.
All right. Now, do you know the Stanley family?
Yes.
How do you know them?
Friends. I know Joe and Miss Stacy.
Okay. How long would you say you've known her?
Probably 5, 6 years maybe.
Okay. Do you know a guy named Chad Burr?
Yeah.
How do you know Chad Burr?
He's a friend of Joe's too.
Okay. And back on September 8th, did you get a call from Chad Burr?
Yeah.
What did Chad want?
He said that Stacy had a flat tire and needed the jack to change it. And he was in Perryville and I was in Ashland, so I thought it would or could just go change it for us so he didn't have to run 20-some miles to do it.
Okay. And were you able to do that?
Yes.
Where were you going?
The VPs, they're on Main.
Okay, here in the city?
Yeah, in the city.
All right. About what time did you get this call from Chad?
Probably around 8:30, 9 o'clock, something like that. It was already dark.
It was dark. When you're farming, there's light and dark, right?
Yeah.
Those are the two times. Okay. And you went to the BP. Who was at the BP when you got there?
Stacy was there with the flat tire, and Shawn was there with her. Stacy introduced me to him, and they was just hanging out there at the BP. She was waiting on me to, because she had the tire, but she didn't have a jack or wheel hitch.
I got you. So she's got the donut, but none of the tools. Okay. And she's standing there with Shawn. Now, had you known this Shawn before?
Never seen him.
And she introduced him to you.
Yeah.
Is that how you knew his name was Shawn?
Yeah.
Okay. And what were they doing when you first got there?
I think they was drinking a cup of coffee or smoking a cigarette, one of the two.
What kind of night was this?
Rainy, drizzly night.
Okay. So I take it, did you watch them interact?
They talked a little back and forth, but basically when I got there, it was get the tire changed, and so, because we were standing out in the rain, she said, "Oh, I'll move it under the awning at the gas pumps," and I said, "Well, really, we shouldn't tie up the pumps, I'll just change it here."
Now, where in the parking lot there was it?
By the air pump,
Okay.
because they had free air there, but the tire had a big enough hole that you couldn't, it wouldn't take air, it wouldn't hold air any length of time.
Okay. This guy, Shawn, she introduced you to, is he in the courtroom today?
Yeah,
Would you point him out and describe what he's wearing?
he's wearing a suit and a red striped tie.
Oh. Okay. Okay. This guy over here?
Yeah.
Okay. But she introduced you to a guy named Shawn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And who changed the tire?
He helped change some. He broke the lug nuts loose while I got the jack under it and got it raised up.
Okay. And about how long did it take to switch this tire out for the donut?
I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. We had to move some stuff off of the trunk, so that there was some mulch, bags of mulch on top of the tire in the trunk. We had to move them so we could get to the donut.
Okay. Did it look to you like anybody had ridden in the passenger seat of that car?
There was some mulch in the back seat. I'm not remembering what was in the passenger, but I think there was stuff in the passenger seat too.
Okay. And stuff in the back as well?
Yeah.
So did you have to dig out the donut, or was that already done?
We had to dig it out.
Okay. What was it under?
There was mulch in the back.
Okay.
It was had like a hatch.
Yeah, it's a small two-door car, isn't it?
Yeah.
And had you had Stacy's phone number?
I had off and on, but I think she said she had changed it, and when they was getting ready to leave after the tire call changed it. Here's my new phone number. So I gave her mine. She just sent me a call, dialed it, but I hadn't talked. I'd seen her a couple times at Walmart, but I hadn't talked to her recent for a while.
Okay.
Before that night.
So she called you so that her number would be in your phone and you had it?
Okay. She said, give me a call.
Do you know about what time that was?
I think it was around 10. I don't remember for sure.
Okay. And did you also speak to Chad again while you were there at the BP?
I think I called Chad and told him that the tire got checked, that I'd gotten it changed.
Okay. So defense counsel will mark the state's exhibit 211. Show you what we marked as State's Exhibit 211. You know what that is?
That's a picture of my cell phone where she called.
Now, who took that picture?
One of the officers.
Okay, so the police came and spoke to you at some point? Would this be after, I guess, they found everybody? Is that your understanding?
Stacy, I believe, was still missing at that point.
when they came and talked to you?
Yeah.
Okay. And they took a picture of your phone.
Yeah.
Your Honor, may we publish Exhibit 211?
Any objection? No objection, Judge, thank you.
Okay. And does your phone keep okay, Tom?
Yeah.
So what time did Stacy call you?
10:19.
Okay, and then Chad, is that Chad Burke? Is that his phone number there?
That was 10
What's that?
o'clock that I talked to him.
10 o'clock, you called him? Okay. It looks like, what's that 3 mean these days?
I think there was 3 calls back and forth.
There were some calls back and forth getting his tire things.
Yeah, because first he was debating whether somebody else was gonna do it. And a little time had lapsed, and I thought he probably had already gotten it, somebody else to do it. And then we got back in touch, and it wasn't done, so I went and got it done.
Okay. I'm going to show you what we previously marked as State's Exhibit 10. You recognize that?
That's Stacy's car. And that's the tires that I helped change.
And that's the tire you helped change. That's one we previously published. The view that we've had testimony previously, State's Exhibit 11 depicts the trunk area of that car. You familiar with what's depicted in that picture?
That's the tire that wouldn't hold there.
Okay, now, there was also some mulch and stuff in the car, in the trunk, but it's not there now.
No.
At least in State's Exhibit 11.
Not in that picture.
Were you aware that after this, Stacy had been reported missing and the family was in town?
A day or so later, I got a call from, I think it was one of her 2 sons had called me, asking if I knew anything as to where their mom was.
Okay. And you didn't have any contact with her after changing the tire?
No.
Didn't know where she went?
I had no idea. She said she was going back inside to get a cup of coffee, and then she was headed home.
Thank you, Mr. Brady.
Cross the table.
I have no questions, Judge, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brady, for your excuse. It's now 5:07 p.m. in the court's clock. We're going to recess for the day. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I want to remind you not to discuss this case with anybody, fellow jurors, family members, anyone else. Don't let anybody discuss it. We don't want any media reports on TV. Don't read anything on the internet. Stay off the internet, basically, is the best thing to do. And if somebody does attempt to discuss it with you, read anything in your presence, please advise the court. 2 days in now, we're completed 2 days of testimony. We'll probably get told tomorrow morning if I remember to do it, just to make sure that everybody's compliant with the court's admonitions. Anything further before we dismiss the jury for the day?
Not from the defense, Judge, thank you.
No?
From the stage, Your Honor.
Okay, 5:08 p.m. The court will be in recess. We'll see you tomorrow. Please be here, same about 8:45. We'll try to get started as soon as we can. got a couple